Welcome. This is the Season Long Podcast in support of the YouTube channel SeasonLongBaller. Glad to have you with us, and I hope you're having a wonderful day. So on the YouTube channel SeasonLongBaller, we are playing the full 82-game NBA season, mirroring the actual NBA season, on NBA 2K23 video game. And in that game, we have done a player build named Jaymont Summerz, a 6'5" point guard out of William & Mary, who is in the starting lineup in place of the actual starter on the real Wizards, Monte Morris. Summerz, as you see, is a 78 overall. The reason being, Ben Caro, the person there underneath him in that chart, is a 78 overall and the number one overall draft pick in the 2022 NBA draft. So that is the reason why Summerz is only a 78. He's on the Wizards. I thought that was a good team to put him on, where he could play the point guard position, and it wouldn't be him replacing Damian Lillard or Steph Curry or Ja Morant, who we'll talk about a little bit later. And so we'll see how well the Wizards do and how well we do as the course of the season plays out. And that's the grind and the progress, as hopefully we're going to get better as the season goes along. And it is going to be the full 82-game season. So taking a look at where we are right now, the past week, the Wizards had a pretty good season, a pretty good week, starting off with Charlotte on the 7th, and then they played the Dallas Mavericks on November 10th last week. And what was really significant about that was the absence of Luka Doncic. We've talked about, obviously, we are mirroring the NBA season, but it's not an exact mirror in terms of how players get injured and how players are playing in terms of the actual NBA. Luka Doncic, thankfully, is not hurt in real life, but in our simulation, in our playthrough, he is hurt for the Mavericks right now with a I believe it was a right ankle injury. So he was out of the game, the Dallas game that when we played him. And as you see, Kyle Kuzma led the way for the Wizards with 20 points and 9 rebounds. Almost got a double-double, had a block, 8 or 9 from the field. So Kuzma had a really great game, as Summerz was kind of in support there with 15 points, 6 out of 12 from the field. And that was a victory for the Wizards, as you see, 77-67. And after a surprising 103-101 win over the Hornets. You may recall last week we were talking about how the Hornets offense was not all that great, but they managed to score 101 points on the league worst Wizards defense, and we escaped with a 2-point victory. So that was pretty significant there. On the 12th, Utah was the team that was next. And then on the 13th, it was the Ja Morant show. As you may recall, on November 6th, the Wizards defeated the Grizzlies. So this was in Memphis. A week later, Memphis comes to Washington, and Ja Morant puts on a show with 42 points, going 15 out of 23 from the field, 2 out of 5 from 3, hit all 10 of his free throws. It really was a memorable performance for Morant, not for my personal defense, because things like this happen. All right, Morant. Okay, so Morant took me off the dribble and reversed it. I'm glad they didn't show that one over again. And like this, beginning of the second quarter, and we are down 21-20, and oh my gosh, Morant dunks on Porzingis. Okay, we were up 21-20, but Morant took care of that very quickly. It's 22-21, Memphis on top. Yeah, not something that I really want to remember, but that was Morant leading the way to an 82-71 victory over the Wizards, and that was the Wizards' third loss of the season. But despite that, the Wizards are still 11-3 on top of the Eastern Conference, and I'm going to go ahead and say that Jaymont Summerz is a big reason for that. He's not the only reason, but he is a big reason for that. The Wizards are 11-3. The Miami Heat are 9-4, and that is very significant because coming up this week, taking a look at what's coming up this week, we open the week against OKC, which is the middle of a 6-game homestand that started with the visiting Dallas Mavericks on the 10th. However, after we play the Thunder, the Miami Heat come to town, And you will notice that the Miami Heat are then 3 of the next 4 games. And being that the Heat are the number 2 seed in the conference right now, the Heat are also in the same division with the Wizards. These could be some very significant games because we don't see the Wizards again until the next to last day of the season in April. So these 3 games could have some really quite a bit of significance. And the Heat appear first on November 18th as the 5th out of a 6-game homestand. And as you see, that homestand is capped off with the Charlotte Hornets. And then kind of taking a quick glimpse into the week after that, which we'll talk about a little bit more on next week's podcast. We play the Heat back-to-back in Miami for the 2nd and 3rd games of that matchup. So that's pretty significant, especially since the Heat right now are the number 2 seed in the East. And then taking a look at the matchup just a little bit closer, you see that the Wizards are 11-3, the Heat is 9-4. The Wizards are coming off of a loss because getting Moranted, as I mentioned, that 42-point Sunday Ja Morant massacre. So that's the one loss. But 8-2 over our last 10. But the Heat is basically right there, 9-4. You see the Heat score a little bit over 60 a game, while the Wizards are scoring 83. The Wizards have been pretty good on the glass, although sometimes it doesn't feel like it, but averaging just over 30 rebounds a game. The Heat are slightly ahead in assists, 17.3 to 16.9, and the Wizards are shooting better from the field, shooting at a 53.4% clip from the field and 41% from deep, while the the Heat come back with just over 50% from the field and almost at 40% from the 3-point range. So that is a look at what we've got coming up for the Wizards. So let's take a look at the Jaymont Summerz Play of the Week. Yep, right on cue. There's that graphic that says Summerz has been sucking from the field. Get the block on Conley. Let's go, fast break opportunity. Beal gives it back to me. You know I like to shoot those threes in transition. That's got to fall. Yes. All right, so that's going to put the wrap on another season-long podcast. Thank you very much for joining us. We will see you again on Mondays. This is what we do every Monday with the season-long podcast, where we talk about Jaymont Summerz, Season Long Baller, NBA 2K23. It is much appreciated that you are here, and I am always happy for your ears and eyes. If you like what we're doing on the channel, please hit me up with a like and a subscribe. It is always much appreciated. All right, you enjoy the rest of your day. As you can see, the next game will be on the 16th against Oklahoma City, the 18th, the Heat, and then the 20th, that Sunday, we are taking on the Charlotte Hornets at home and LaMelo Ball. Thank you very much for your time, and I appreciate it. Season Long Baller is out. Peace.